All right. I want to do another blog today, but I'm going to do something a little different than I normally do. Stanley Pranin passed away about a week ago. And by the time you see this video, it'll probably have been longer, obviously. But anyway, um, Stanley Pranin was the greatest researcher and historian on Aikido and Aki Jiu-Jitsu ever. Very few people like him exist today. You have Patrick McCarthy and Andreas Quas for karate. You have Alex Gillis for taekwondo, and you have Stanley Pranin for the Aki arts. Those are the few researchers I know that are in depth beyond what a normal historian would be. All of them have, Alex Gillis has one book out, but his book is the best history on Taekwondo ever. Patrick McCarthy has a few books out. He translated the Bobishi, sorry, and then Andreas Quas, he has a few books out, and he has a website that is kind of the karate version of Aikido Journal. Anyway, the point being, when he passed away, I want to make sure I had all his books because, as some of you know, they've seen my blogs. I collect martial art books, and there was one book I didn't have, and it was the Encyclopedia of Aikido. This is it here. Anyway, so I decided to order, and I got it in a. I know most people don't read encyclopedia style books, but I do. So anyway, so I started reading, and I came across Aoki Masashigi, and I talked about him being a Kashima Shinto Ryu instructor. But anyway, I'll get to some of this other stuff it says in a second. But at the bottom it said to see Hitoshi Kadama and Kenichi Ida. Could be saying these wrong. I don't know. I hope I'm not, but I probably am. Anyway, so I went to theirs and I noticed that it said the exact same thing on all three of them. Other than their profession, all three said the same thing. And in terms of history, this is something I'd heard before that the Aiki-Ken was similar to Kashima Shinto Ryu. As a matter of fact, the Ichino Tashi from Kashima Shinto Ryu is almost identical to the Kumitachi in Aikido as taught by Morihei Sato. So, that being said, this is where I'm going with this. So, all three of those guys were Kashima Shinto Ryu instructors at the Kodokan under Jigoro Kano and the Kobukan under Morihei Ueshiba. And I found that to be interesting that they had three instructors of the same art at both dojo. And what I also found interesting was that Morihei Ueshiba, his name, along with Zenzaburo Akazawa, they appear with a kepan. A kepan is kepan, if I'm saying it correctly, is a blood oath. That's where you cut your finger, and a few Koru arts still do that today. I know Kotori Shinto Ryu does it as well. Anyway, but what's interesting is their names were not in the enrollment books. They were on a separate sheet of paper. Which maybe it was because Morihei Ueshiba was a big name back then, so they did it separately. I don't know. It's hard to say why his name would not appear in the enrollment books, but it would appear on a separate sheet of paper along with Zenzabora's name. Anyway, and I thought that was interesting. Here's the thing. Put the book down. Here's the thing with the Kashima Shinto Ryu and the Aiki-Ken being so similar. The first movements, the Ichino-Tachi, all that stuff is almost identical. And I read online, someone said, yeah, but everything else changed after that. If your fundamental principles are from a certain koru or from a certain art, even though you may change the kata, the fundamentals will be the same. And this goes for anything else. You look at Hapkido and Aikido. I know this is, for some people, this is too much of a difference, but follow me. Whether there's any truth to the Daito-Ryu connection, I know that's not documented anywhere. There is some circumstantial evidence saying that it might be. But, so let's say Cheung-So, founder of Hapkido, he trained with the Sukaka Takeda, presumptionally. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but at the very least, he was able to watch him. Well, you look at Hapkido, and the fundamental principles of Daito-Ryu, Aikido, and Hapkido, they're all basically the same. The way they train, completely different. Some of the footwork is different. Some of the attacks, completely different. But the fundamental principle of the wrist locks and the takedowns and the arm bars, they're the same. So if you look at the Aiki-Ken and you look at Kashima Shinto Ryu, if the fundamentals are the same, you may change the kata, but you're not going to change the basics, the similarities to some of the footwork, the similarities to the grips, the similarities to the cuts. Those will all remain the same. So I think basically what Aiki-Ken is a deviated version of Kashima Shinto Ryu, which is great, because I think that's an awesome Kobu art. But I guess the whole principle of this is I'd heard that it came from that, but I didn't realize that the kata were so similar. And I also didn't realize that there were 3 Kashima Shinto Ryu instructors at the Kobukan and the Kodokan Dojo, both under the directive of Morihei Ueshiba and Jigoro Kano. So I thought it was interesting facts I wanted to share. I want to make a blog about it, because I want to start doing some historical blogs, because that's something that's kind of what I'm into. That's where my heart lies. I love history when it comes to martial arts. You ask me anything about American history or anything, I don't know. But when it comes to martial arts, I love history. I love researching. Like I said, this book is set up just like an encyclopedia, and I really enjoy reading. I'm learning a lot because he put stuff in here that I don't think you're going to find online. There's names in here that just are not anywhere else, that I've never heard of in my life, and I've read a lot. So rest in peace, Stanley Pranin. I hope the Aikido Journal website is able to continue. It's a phenomenal website. I read somewhere that there's over 100,000 videos and articles and interviews on that site, which without a doubt is probably true, because I've seen, at one point I actually had a membership to it, and I had the opportunity to talk to Stanley Pranin on 2 occasions. I talked to him a few times, but I actually had a chance to actually have a conversation with him twice. I used to run a website where I sold martial art books and DVDs, which is where a lot of my collection came from. When I closed the business, obviously I kept a lot of stuff. Anyway, and he was always extremely polite, extremely nice, and willing to talk about history. I'd have questions because I do research on every martial art, not just what I practice. And he was more than willing to help me and talk to me. He actually gave me a book. I'd asked a question. I believe it was about the relationship between Takeda and Morihei Ueshiba. Whenever Takeda came and took over Aki News, where Ueshiba was teaching, I was really curious as to how that worked out. And so he gave me a book. I'll show you the book. I wish I'd have set it down. I don't know why I didn't. Anyway, let me find it real quick. This book here. I told you about Jiu-Jitsu, and this is the book, if I can get it in there. He gave me this book, and as you can see, I'm about halfway through, not even halfway through. Anyway, I got a bookmark in there, I haven't finished it. So, put my phone up where I normally do. So, I really, he died of stomach cancer, which I know is a horrific way to go, but I'm glad his suffering is over, and I hope if the guys, whoever is in control of Aikido Journal is in control now, I really hope you guys can keep it going. It's a phenomenal website. I haven't been to it in a while. I actually might go to it tonight just because I'm thinking about it. So anyway, I think that's all I wanted to say. Like I said, I'm going to try to do some more historical type stuff. I think my next one's going to be on the Okinawan karate, because I have a lot of things that I've been reading that I found to be really interesting. Anyway, if you have any questions, or if there's anything you would like me to do a blog on, let me know, because I really enjoy doing these. I know I don't have a whole lot of followers, but this is fun to me. So, and it gives me an outlet for all the stuff that I read, some places talk about it. Anyway, well, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I'll make another one here in the near future.